Hello, dear colleagues. Thank you for joining this session. My name is Pavel Petkov, and I am a PhD student at the University of Telecommunications and Posts in Sofia, Bulgaria. Today, I'm pleased to present my research entitled Organizational Readiness for AI Transformation in Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, Strategic Perspectives. Artificial intelligence is transforming organizations at an unprecedented pace. Yet, despite these technological advances, many organizations continue to struggle with successful AI transformation. This observation motivated my research and led me to explore one fundamental question. What makes an organization truly ready for successful AI transformation? Artificial intelligence is increasingly becoming a strategic driver of organizational development rather than simply another technological innovation. Today, even small and medium-sized enterprises have access to sophisticated AI capabilities, intelligent automation, machine learning, and advanced data analytics that were until recently available mainly to large corporations with substantial budgets and dedicated technology teams. This democratization of AI is in many ways remarkable. In principle, these technologies promise clear and measurable benefits, higher productivity, faster and more informed decision-making, and stronger competitive performance in an increasingly digital marketplace. Organizations that harness them successful are expected to grow faster and adapt more easily to changing market conditions. However, despite this growing accessibility, successful AI transformation remains a significant challenge for many organizations, and this is where the picture becomes more complicated. Surprisingly, these challenges are rarely caused by the technology itself. In fact, many organizations today already possess the necessary AI tools and platforms. What they often lack or the organizational conditions required to integrate these technologies successfully into everyday business process. In other words, there appears to be a missing link between having access to AI technologies on one side and actually achieving productivity gains, better decisions, competitive advantage, and sustained growth on the other. Many implementation efforts stall, deliver disappointing results, or fail to move beyond isolated pilot projects, not because the algorithms underperform, but because the organization around them was not prepared to absorb the change. This gap between technological availability and organizational outcomes is not yet well understood in the existing literature, and it is precisely this gap that motivated the central research question of this study. If technology is increasingly available, what actually determines the success of AI transformation? My research suggests that the answer lies not in the technology itself, but in the organization's strategic readiness for change, a concept I will define and explore in detail through this presentation. Existing scientific literature provides extensive knowledge concerning AI adoption, digital transformation, and organizational change over the past decade. Researchers have examined how organizations adopt new technologies, what drives digital innovation, and how change unfolds within complex organizational systems. Many studies in information system, strategic management, and organizational behavior have improved our understanding of AI implementation and digital innovation. Together, they provide a strong foundation for this research. However, my review of the literature revealed an important gap. Most existing research focuses primarily on technology itself, on algorithms, tools, platforms, and technical capabilities, while far less attention is given to the organizational conditions that determine whether AI transformation ultimately succeeds or fails in practice. Many studies have improved our understanding of AI implementation and digital innovation. However, organizational readiness has usually been discussed as part of digital transformation rather than AI transformation. It has rarely been presented as an integrated strategic capability. This is the research gap that my study addresses. This creates a meaningful and, in my view, consequential gap between what we know about AI technologies on one hand and what we know about the organizations that must absorb, adapt to, and sustain them on the other. Therefore, the aim of this study is to propose a strategic framework that places organizational readiness at the center of AI transformation in small and medium-sized enterprises. Instead of asking what AI can do for organizations, this study asks what organizations need in order to succeed with AI. Before presenting the framework, let me briefly explain the methodology behind this study. The research is based on systematic literature review and qualitative conceptual analysis. This literature review focused on AI transformation, organizational readiness, strategic management, organizational change, and dynamic capabilities. Based on this analysis, the key organizational factors were identified and integrated into a strategic framework presented here. This process resulted in the strategic framework that I will present next. The central concept of this research is organizational readiness. I define organizational readiness as the organization's strategic capability to successfully prepare for, implement, and sustain AI transformation. This definition is intentionally broad because readiness is not a single event, a one-time checklist, or a project milestone. It is an ongoing organizational capability that must be developed and maintained over time, rather than representing a single organizational characteristic. Readiness emerges from the interaction of several mutually reinforcing organizational dimensions, which I will briefly walk through one at a time. Leadership provides strategic direction. Without strong leadership, AI initiatives often lose focus and fail to achieve long-term impact. Strategy sets clear priorities and ensures that AI investments support the organization's long-term goals. Organizational capability make implementation possible. They include the skills, resources, and internal process needed to successfully introduce AI into everyday business operations. Organizational culture shapes how people accept change. In many cases, culture has a greater impact on AI transformation than technology itself. Continuous learning helps organizations adapt as AI technologies continue to evolve. Finally, change management brings all these dimensions together into one coordinated transformation process. Together, these 6 dimensions create organizational readiness. They do not work separately. They strengthen one another. This is why I consider organizational readiness to be the foundation of successful AI transformation. It is a strategic capability that organizations need to develop in order to achieve lasting success with AI. Sorry. Building upon this perspective, I developed the strategic framework presented here. This framework presents AI transformation as a continuous strategic process rather than a one-time technology project. It begins with external drivers such as market changes, customer expectation, and technological opportunities that create the need for transformation. These drivers shape the organization's strategic vision, while leadership provides the commitment and resources needed to move the vision forward. At the center of the framework is organizational readiness. I consider this key enabling capability because it determines whether AI transformation can succeed in practice. Once organizations are ready, they are better prepared to implement AI creation business value and continuously improve their performance. As shown in the framework, this process leads to three main outcomes: sustainable AI transformation, greater organizational resilience, and long-term competitive advantage. The main message is simple. Successful AI transformation depends not only on technology, but on strategic organizational readiness. This study contributes at three complementary levels. First, from a theoretical perspective, it presents organizational readiness as a strategic capability at the center of AI transformation rather than as a supporting factor. Second, from a managerial perspective, it provides leaders with a practical framework for assessing whether their organizations are ready for AI transformation before implementations begin. Third, from a practical perspective, it offers small and medium-sized enterprises a conceptual roadmap for creating the organizational conditions needed for successful AI transformation. Finally, this study provides a conceptual foundation for future empirical research and the development of practical decision support tools. The next step is to validate this framework through empirical research in small and medium-sized enterprises. To conclude, I would like to leave you with three key messages. First, successful AI transformation is primarily an organizational challenge, not just a technological one. Second, organizational readiness is the key requirement for sustainable AI transformation. Third, successful transformation depends on leadership, strategy, organizational capabilities, culture, continuous learning, and effective change management working together as one integrated system. If I could summarize this study in one sentence, it will be this: successful AI transformation begins with organizational readiness rather than technology. Thank you very much for your attention.